She was not defeated in battle, not rejected by her mate, not cast out by her pack. She was betrayed in the quietest, cruelest way possible, sold under the cover of loyalty by the very sister who smiled at her coronation and kissed her goodnight. Unaware that the gentle Luna everyone believed was too soft to rule was in fact the rare treasure prophesied to awaken an empire, a woman whose fate would draw the attention of the most feared alpha king alive, Gomez. Ruler of a rival pack so cold and powerful that even his name was spoken in whispers, and as Selina was led away beneath the moon on a false summons, chains closing around her wrists while she still trusted the blood that condemned her, she had no idea that her sister's hunger for the crown would ignite a bond that would shatter packs, expose lies, and turn a sold Luna into the queen an alpha king was willing to burn the world to claim. She was not defeated in battle. She was sold in silence by the sister who kissed her goodnight. Selina stood at the edge of the ceremonial cliff, the wind carrying the scent of pine and ancient earth through her silver hair. Below, the pack gathered in reverent silence, their eyes reflecting the light of 100 torches. This was her moment, the coronation that would bind her forever to her people, to her purpose. She had not sought this honor. The moon goddess chose her Luna through signs even the eldest could not ignore, the white wolf that followed her shadow, the dreams that predicted every threat before it materialized, the way wounded pack members healed faster beneath her touch. Selina had accepted the title with humility, understanding that leadership was not a crown to wear but a burden to carry. "You were born for this," her younger sister Lyra had whispered that morning, braiding moonflowers into Selina's hair with delicate fingers. "Everyone can see it." Selina had smiled, pressing a kiss to her sister's forehead. "We'll lead together. You and I always." But now, as the elder placed the Luna's circlet upon her brow and the pack erupted in joyous howls, Selina caught a glimpse of Lyra at the crowd's edge. Her sister's hands came together in applause. Slow, measured, the smile on her face not quite reaching her eyes. The expression vanished so quickly that Selina questioned whether she'd seen it at all. Perhaps it was only the firelight playing tricks. The weeks that followed brought prosperity. Selina walked among her people daily, settling disputes with wisdom that seemed beyond her years, strengthening alliances with neighboring territories, ensuring no pup went hungry through the harsh mountain winter. The pack flourished beneath her guidance. Yet something shifted in the shadows. Lyra's laughter grew quieter. Her visits to Selina's chambers became less frequent. When they did speak, her sister's questions carried a strange weight. "Do you ever tire of it? All those eyes watching, judging every decision." "It's not about me," Selina had answered gently. "It's about them. About us." "Of course." Lyra's smile had been quick, practiced. "I only worry you carry too much alone." Selina reached for her sister's hand, but Lyra pulled away, citing duties that needed attending. The first real warning came during the council meeting. Elder Thorne spoke of troubling rumors, whispers of an alliance being forged in secret between their pack and the territory ruled by Alpha King Gomez, the ruthless sovereign whose lands bordered theirs to the east. Gomez was known for his cruelty, his appetite for expansion, his complete disregard for the old laws. "Impossible," Selina had declared. "I've authorized no such negotiation." "Yet the rumors persist, Luna," Thorne said carefully. "Perhaps someone speaks on your behalf without your knowledge." Selina's wolf stirred uneasily beneath her skin. That night, she confronted Lyra in the moonlit gardens. "Have you heard these stories about Gomez?" Her sister's face remained smooth as still water. "Rumors are wind, sister. They blow through and mean nothing." "Then why do I feel like something is wrong?" Lyra stepped closer, cupping Selina's face with both hands. "You're exhausted. Being Luna takes everything from you. Let me help carry the weight." She kissed Selina's forehead, tender, familiar, the gesture of 1,000 childhood comforts. "Trust me," Lyra whispered. And Selina did. Even as her instincts screamed otherwise, even as her wolf paced restlessly in her chest, she pushed the doubt away. Family was sacred. Blood was bond. Betrayal was unthinkable. 3 nights later, A messenger arrived with urgent news. A conflict at the northern border required the Luna's immediate presence. Selina departed within the hour, accompanied only by 2 guards Lyra personally recommended. The moon hung low and red as they traveled deeper into the forest. Too late, Selina realized the path led nowhere near the northern territories. Too late, she understood why her wolf had been howling warnings she refused to hear. The guards moved with practiced efficiency. Cold iron locked around her wrists before she could shift, the metal burning against her skin with dark magic that severed her connection to her wolf. She fell to her knees, powerless, as figures emerged from the trees. And through the haze of shock and pain, one question burned brighter than the iron against her flesh. The chains closed around her wrists, and she still didn't know who ordered them. The sister who chose the crown over blood. Lyra stood before the gilded mirror in her chambers, pressing the Luna's circlet against her own brow. It fit perfectly. It always had. It should have been mine, she whispered to her reflection, watching moonlight glint off the silver metal. I was born first. I was stronger. Faster. I bled for this pack in ways she never did. But the moon goddess had chosen Selina. Sweet, gentle Selina with her soft voice and softer heart. Selina who spoke of peace when strength was needed, who extended mercy to those who deserved none, who believed that love could heal what only power could control. The pack had fallen at her sister's feet like worshippers before a false idol. And Lyra had smiled through every moment of it, the bitterness pooling behind her teeth like poison she could never swallow. She set the circlet down carefully, running her fingers along its ancient engravings. How many nights had she imagined this moment? How many times had she rehearsed the speech she would give when the pack finally recognized their mistake? But recognition never came. With each passing day, Selina's hold on them only strengthened. The people loved her. The elders praised her wisdom. Even the warriors, who should have respected Lyra's superior combat skills, looked to Selina for guidance. She's making us weak, Lyra had argued to anyone who would listen. Her compassion will be our downfall. No one listened. They saw only the miracles Selina performed, the disputes she settled, the mysterious way their territory thrived beneath her influence. So Lyra stopped waiting for others to see the truth. She would show them herself. The emissaries from Alpha King Gomez arrived on a moonless night, cloaked and silent as death. Lyra had sent word through carefully cultivated channels, whispers in the right ears, coins placed in the right palms. Gomez was expanding his territory, and he needed legitimacy, a connection to a pack with ancient bloodlines and moon goddess favor. He needed a Luna. Your sister is the chosen one, the lead emissary said, his eyes cold as winter stone. The king wants her specifically. The prophecies speak of. My sister is a symbol, Lyra interrupted, her voice steady despite the hammering of her heart. Nothing more. I carry the same blood, the same lineage. And I possess something she never will. The strength to do what must be done. The emissaries studied her with the calculation of a predator assessing prey. The king will not be pleased with a substitution. Tell your king that he'll receive what he needs, a Luna with proper bloodline and the appearance of legitimacy. But if he takes Selina, he takes someone the pack will never stop searching for, someone they'll wage war to reclaim. Lyra leaned forward, her words carefully chosen. Give me time to arrange things properly. Selina can be relocated, discredited, made to disappear in a way that leaves no questions, no war, no complications. She watched understanding dawn in the emissary's expression. And in return, recognition as Luna of my own pack. An alliance between our territories. An assurance that my sister will never return to threaten my position. The negotiations took weeks. Lyra forged documents with trembling hands, her talent for mimicry finally serving its purpose. She copied Selina's handwriting perfectly, the gentle loops, the careful spacing. Letters appeared bearing the Luna's seal, authorizing meetings Selina never attended, approving arrangements she never made. The elders, trusting and blind, never questioned the sister who had always stood loyally at Selina's side. Elder Thorn came closest to the truth. "These rumors about Gomez trouble me," he'd said, his ancient eyes searching Lyra's face. "The Luna would never approve such an alliance." "The Luna is under great stress," Lyra had replied smoothly. "She confides in me her doubts, her fears that perhaps she isn't strong enough for this role. She's considering options." It wasn't quite a lie. Selina did share her doubts with Lyra, whispered in the darkness of their shared childhood bedroom, the way sisters shared everything. The way they used to, before the crown came between them. Lyra remembered those nights now, despite herself. Selina braiding her hair after their mother died, promising they would face everything together. Selina defending her against the cruel pups who mocked Lyra's early weaknesses. Selina's hand in hers during their first shift, guiding her through the pain and terror. "Trust me," Selina had said then, her eyes full of love. "I'll never let anything hurt you." Lyra pushed the memories away. Sentiment was weakness. Selina's fatal flaw would not be hers. The night Selina left for the fabricated border conflict, Lyra watched from the shadows of the great hall. Her sister moved with such grace, such certainty in her purpose. Even now, even walking toward her own doom, Selina carried herself like the Luna she was born to be. "Safe travels, sister," Lyra had called out, and Selina had turned, her face illuminated by torchlight. "I'll return by dawn," Selina promised. "We'll have breakfast together, just like when we were young." Lyra had nodded, not trusting her voice. After Selina disappeared into the forest, Lyra returned to her chambers. The final document lay on her desk, requiring only her signature. Terms of transfer. Selina delivered to Gomez's territory, to a remote estate far from his capital, far from anywhere she might be recognized. Not as his Luna, Lyra would claim that title herself through their alliance, but as a forgotten prisoner, a symbol stripped of power, locked away where her soft heart could rot in isolation. Gomez had laughed when she proposed it. "You want her alive?" "Most would choose death." "Death makes martyrs," Lyra had replied. "I want her erased." Now, with quill in hand, she hesitated for only a moment. Somewhere in the forest, Selina still believed in her. Still trusted the sister who kissed her goodnight, who promised to help carry her burdens. Still loved her, despite everything. Lyra signed her name with steady strokes. The parchment felt heavier than any weapon she'd ever carried, but lighter than the crown she would finally claim. She didn't sell her sister to be killed, she sold her to be forgotten. Delivered to the Devil Alpha. The journey lasted 3 days, though Selina lost count after the first night. The iron chains never left her wrists, their dark magic a constant burn that kept her wolf caged deep within her chest. She rode in an enclosed wagon that reeked of fear and old blood, guarded by silent warriors whose eyes held no mercy. They crossed borders she'd only seen on maps, moving deeper into territory that grew progressively colder, darker, as though even the sun feared to shine too brightly here. The trees twisted into gnarled shapes, their branches reaching toward the sky like clawed hands. The very earth felt different beneath the wagon's wheels, harder, less forgiving. This was Gomez's domain. The Forbidden Lands, her people called it, where the old laws held no sway and mercy was a word spoken only by the weak. Selina had heard the story since childhood. Alpha King Gomez, who conquered 3 territories before his 20th year. Who crushed rebellions with such brutality that neighboring packs surrendered rather than face his wrath. Whose own father had died under mysterious circumstances, leaving Gomez to claim the throne while still stained with blood that might have been patricide or justice, depending on who told the tale. They said he kept the skulls of defeated alphas mounted in his throne room. That he could kill with a look, break bones with his voice alone. That his wolf was touched by something darker than the moon goddess's light. Selina had dismissed such stories as exaggeration, the way powerful enemies were always painted as monsters to frighten children. Now, as the wagon finally stopped and rough hands dragged her into the cold morning air, she wondered if the stories had been too kind. The fortress rose before her like a monument to dominance. Black stone walls climbed toward a sky heavy with threatening clouds. Towers peaked with iron spikes that resembled fangs. Even the gates seemed designed to devour those who entered, their dark metal inscribed with warnings in the old tongue. Warriors lined the courtyard, their formation perfect, their expressions carved from ice. These were not the warm, familial pack members Selina had led. These were soldiers, weapons honed for a single purpose, to serve their king without question, without mercy. They parted as a figure emerged from the fortress entrance. Alpha King Gomez. He moved with the lethal grace of a predator who had never known defeat, each step radiating an authority that needed no crown to announce itself. Tall and broad-shouldered, his presence seemed to consume the space around him, making the massive courtyard feel suddenly small. Dark hair fell to his shoulders, framing a face that might have been handsome if not for the cold calculation in his eyes that burned like molten gold, ancient and terrible. Scars marked his exposed forearms, each one likely a story of survival, of conquest. He wore black leather and metal plates, practical armor that suggested he expected violence even within his own walls. Selina forced herself to stand straight despite the chains, despite the weakness flooding her limbs. She would not cower. If she was to die here, she would die as a Luna. Gomez stopped 3 paces away, studying her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. The silence stretched, broken only by the wind howling through the fortress spires. "The famous Selina," he said finally, his voice a low rumble that seemed to resonate in her very bones. "The gentle Luna. The chosen one." His lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "You're smaller than I expected. And you're exactly as brutal as the stories promised," Selina replied, lifting her chin. One of the guards moved to strike her for the insolence, but Gomez raised a hand, freezing the warrior mid-motion. His eyes never left Selina's face. "They told me you were soft. Weak. That your pack loved you because you asked for nothing, demanded nothing, threatened nothing." He circled her slowly, like a wolf assessing prey. "They said you ruled through compassion, as if compassion has ever built an empire." "I never wanted an empire," Selina said quietly. "I wanted to protect my people." "And yet you couldn't even protect yourself." He stopped before her again, close enough that she could see flecks of darker gold in his eyes, could smell pine and smoke and something wild on his skin. "Tell me, gentle Luna, do you know why you're here?" "I was betrayed." The words tasted like ash. "Sold by those I trusted." "Your sister," Gomez confirmed, watching her face carefully for the reaction. "She offered you in exchange for alliance, for recognition of her own claim to your pack's leadership. She was quite thorough in her negotiations." The pain that lanced through Selina's chest had nothing to do with the iron chains. Hearing the truth spoken aloud, confirming what her heart had refused to accept, shattered something fundamental inside her. Lyra. Her Lyra, who she'd loved more than her own life. "I'm curious," Gomez continued, his voice dropping lower. "What does one do with a discarded Luna? Your sister suggested I keep you alive, locked away where you could never threaten her new position. A living ghost, forgotten by all who once worshipped you." He leaned closer, and Selina felt his power roll over her in waves, dominant, overwhelming, dark as the fortress that housed him. "But I find myself intrigued." Something shifted in the air between them. Gomez's eyes flared brighter, his wolf surging suddenly to the surface. Selina felt it like a physical blow, his beast recognizing something in her, calling to something buried deep beneath her own caged wolf. The Alpha King's expression changed, control cracking for just an instant to reveal something raw and shocked beneath. "Impossible," he breathed. His warriors stirred uneasily, sensing their king's disturbance. Gomez's hand shot out, gripping Selina's chin and forcing her to meet his gaze. His touch burned, but not like the iron. This was different, ancient, a recognition that transcended conscious thought. "What are you?" he demanded. Selina didn't understand the question, didn't understand why her own wolf suddenly howled within her prison, fighting against the iron with renewed desperation. Didn't understand why the world seemed to tilt and reshape itself around this moment, around this male whose darkness should repel her but instead called to something primal in her soul. "Remove the chains," Gomez ordered suddenly. "My king," one of his commanders protested. "Now." The iron fell away, and Selina gasped as her wolf surged back to consciousness. But before she could even think of shifting, of fighting, of fleeing, Gomez's power slammed into her again, his wolf's dominance forcing her to her knees. Not in violence. In submission. In recognition. In claim. "You will not be locked away," Gomez said, his voice resonating with an authority that seemed to shake the very stones beneath them. "You will not be forgotten. You will not be hidden." He released her chin, stepping back, but his eyes never left hers. "Place her in the Luna's tower," he commanded his warriors. "Post guards at every entrance. No one enters or leaves without my direct permission." The soldiers moved to obey, shock evident on their faces despite their training. As they led Selina away, she heard Gomez speak one final time, his words carrying across the courtyard with absolute certainty. She was not a prisoner, she was claimed. The treasure the Alpha King desired. Gomez dismissed his counsel with a sharp gesture, needing solitude to process what his wolf had recognized in the courtyard. The beast still raged within him, clawing at his control with an urgency he hadn't experienced in years. "Mine. Ours. Claim. Protect. Keep." The primal words echoed through his consciousness, overwhelming rational thought. He had built an empire on control, on calculated decisions and strategic alliances, on suppressing every instinct that might cloud judgment or reveal weakness. His wolf served him, bent to his will, understood that dominance required discipline. Until now. Until her. Gomez moved to the window overlooking the Luna's tower, a structure that had stood empty for 5 years, since his last attempt at taking a mate had ended in spectacular failure. The female had been strong, ambitious, perfectly suitable for producing heirs and managing pack politics. She had also bored him to tears within a week. He'd sent her home with generous compensation and a firm understanding that the Devil Alpha had no interest in playing house. Yet now he'd ordered Selina placed in those same chambers, had assigned his most trusted guards to watch over her, had spoken the word that still rang through his mind with terrible clarity. Claimed. What madness possessed him? He found her standing at the tower window, silhouetted against the dying light. She hadn't changed from her travel-stained clothes, hadn't touched the food his servants brought, hadn't even explored the luxurious chambers that could house a dozen wolves comfortably. She simply stood, watching the sun set over territory that must seem alien and hostile to her gentle sensibilities. "You should eat," Gomez said from the doorway. "Starving yourself serves no purpose." Selina turned slowly, and he was struck again by the quiet strength in her bearing. She didn't cringe or grovel, didn't rage or weep. She simply met his gaze with those remarkable eyes, silver blue like moonlight on water, and waited. "I'm not hungry," she said finally. That wasn't a suggestion. Then it was an order poorly disguised as concern. She tilted her head slightly. "Which is it, Alpha King? Do you wish me to obey, or do you wish me to pretend you care whether I live or die?" Gomez felt his lips twitch despite himself. Bold words for a captive. "And if I said both? Then I would call you a contradiction. A tyrant doesn't concern himself with a prisoner's comfort." "You think yourself a prisoner? Am I free to leave?" "No. Then semantics won't change my circumstances." She moved away from the window, her movements fluid despite 3 days of travel in chains. "Though I confess curiosity, if you intended to kill me, I'd likely be dead already. If you intended to use me against my former pack, you would have made demands by now. So, what exactly do you want from me, Alpha King?" Gomez studied her in silence, searching for the weakness his commanders insisted must exist. The softness that made her unsuitable for true leadership. The fragility that justified her sister's betrayal. He found none of it. What he found instead was a Luna who had been taught to minimize herself, to hide her power behind compassion, to mistake gentleness for weakness, because those around her couldn't comprehend strength that didn't require violence to prove itself. Kneel, he commanded suddenly, releasing a fraction of his dominance. Most wolves would have dropped immediately, overwhelmed by the crushing weight of an alpha king's direct order. Even his own warriors, powerful in their own right, struggled against the full force of his authority. Selina's knees bent. Slowly, with visible resistance, but not from defiance, from something deeper. Her wolf fought his dominance not with aggression, but with an answering power that made the air between them crackle with tension. She knelt, finally, but her head remained raised, her eyes never leaving his. "You can release that now," she said quietly. "I've proven your point." Gomez pulled back his dominance, shocked by how much effort it had required. "Do you even realize what you just did? Obeyed your order?" Selina rose gracefully to her feet. "Isn't that what you wanted?" An Omega would have collapsed unconscious under half that pressure. A Beta would be bleeding from the nose. Even most Alphas would be gasping. He moved closer, drawn by something he couldn't name. "You resisted an Alpha King's direct command for nearly 30 seconds. And you speak as if it was nothing remarkable." Confusion flickered across her face. My wolf didn't want to submit. She never has, not easily. It's always been a struggle with the pack, trying to balance authority with what you were taught a Luna should be," Gomez finished. "Gentle, nurturing, submissive to the stronger wolves around you. I am those things. You are." He circled her slowly, the predator unable to resist assessing what he'd stumbled upon. "But you're also something else. Something your pack either couldn't recognize or deliberately suppressed." That night, Gomez descended into the fortress archives, past records of battles and treaties, down to the oldest texts preserved from the time before packs fractured into territories. His scholar, an ancient wolf named Soren who'd served 3 generations of his bloodline, looked up in surprise. "My king, it's past midnight." "The prophecy of the eternal Luna," Gomez said without preamble. "I need everything." Soren's clouded eyes sharpened with interest. "That's old magic. Most dismiss it as legend." "Do you dismiss it?" "No, my king. The old texts are quite specific." He moved among the shelves with surprising speed for his age, pulling a massive tome bound in wolf leather. "The eternal Luna appears once every 1,000 years. Born with power that stabilizes territories, heals divisions, strengthens pack bonds to unbreakable levels." "What else?" "She is marked by contradiction, appearing weak while harboring immense strength, seeming gentle while possessing the will to command armies, drawing loyalty without demanding it." Soren traced the ancient text with one gnarled finger. "And most importantly, she will be unrecognizable to those closest to her, for her power manifests only when properly claimed by her destined mate." Gomez's chest tightened. Her mate. An alpha strong enough to withstand her true nature. Dominant enough to call it forth. Wise enough to not fear it. Soren looked up, his gaze knowing. "You've found her." It wasn't a question. Gomez thought of Selina's resistance to his dominance. Her natural authority that she'd been taught to suppress. The way his wolf had recognized something ancient and powerful beneath her gentle exterior. The way she'd survived betrayal that would have broken lesser wolves. "What happens if she remains unclaimed?" Gomez asked. "If her power stays dormant?" "She lives as a shadow of what she could be. The pack that possesses her prospers, but never reaches true greatness. She feels incomplete, always searching for something she can't name." "And if she's claimed?" Soren smiled, showing teeth that had seen centuries of secrets. "Then she becomes what she was born to be. A Luna whose power could unite territories or destroy them. Whose strength could stabilize an empire or shatter it from within, depending on who wields her loyalty." Gomez stared at the ancient text, his mind racing through implications and possibilities. Selina's sister had sold her away, not realizing she'd handed the Devil Alpha the one thing he could never conquer by force. True power. Destined power. Power that chose rather than submitted. And if Selina herself ever realized what she carried within her. "My king," Soren prompted carefully. "What will you do?" Gomez closed the tome with deliberate care. "Post additional guards around the Luna's tower. No one enters without my explicit permission." No one speaks to her without my knowledge. And send word to all neighboring territories. The Devil Alpha has claimed his Luna. That will cause an uproar. Many will challenge. Let them try. Gomez's eyes glowed gold in the archive's dim light. And Soren? This stays between us. The prophecy, what she is, no one else can know. Not yet. Not until he understood how to wake the power sleeping within her. Not until he could ensure that when she finally recognized her own strength, she would choose to stand beside him rather than destroy everything he'd built. Because one truth had become crystalline in his mind. If she ever discovers what she truly is, no pack will survive opposing her. The Luna who refused to break. The first week in the fortress, Selina spoke to no one but the silent servants who brought her meals. She existed in a strange limbo, not quite prisoner, not quite guest, certainly not the Luna the empty title on her door claimed her to be. But isolation had never been her weakness. She observed. She learned. She adapted. The Devil Alpha's territory operated with military precision. Warriors trained before dawn, their formations flawless, their discipline absolute. The Omegas moved through their duties with efficiency born of clear expectations and fair treatment, surprising, given the stories of Gomez's cruelty. Even the children she glimpsed in the courtyard seemed healthy, well-fed, protected. This was not the domain of a mindless tyrant. This was an empire built on order, strength, and something she hadn't expected, justice. Harsh justice, perhaps. Unforgiving. But consistent. On the 8th day, Selina descended from her tower. The warriors in the courtyard froze mid-drill as she emerged, their eyes tracking her movement with predatory focus. She felt their assessment like physical touches, searching for weakness, measuring threat, calculating whether the mysterious female their king claimed warranted their respect or their contempt. Selina walked to the well at the courtyard center, drew water with steady hands, and drank deeply. Then she turned to face the nearest warrior, a massive male whose scarred face suggested he'd survived more battles than she could count. "I need clean clothes," she said calmly. "The servants bring gowns fit for decoration, not living. I require something practical." The warrior blinked, clearly not expecting direct address. "The Alpha King decides what you..." "The Alpha King claimed me, but has not yet bothered to ask what I need." She met his gaze without flinching. "So I'm asking you. Unless you'd prefer I continue wearing travel-stained rags that offend every nose within 10 paces. A younger warrior snorted, quickly smothered. The scarred male's lips twitched. "I'll speak to the quartermaster," he said finally. "Thank you." Selina inclined her head with the natural grace that had marked her as Luna long before any ceremony. "Your name?" "Cade, my lady." "Thank you, Cade." By evening, practical clothing appeared in her chambers. Leather pants, soft tunics, boots designed for movement rather than display. And the next morning, when she descended again, Cade nodded in acknowledgement. Word spread. The Luna wasn't hiding, wasn't weeping, wasn't what they'd expected. The confrontation came during her 3rd week, when a visiting alpha from a neighboring territory arrived for negotiations. Selina was crossing the Great Hall when his mocking voice cut through the space. "So this is the discarded Luna. I expected someone more impressive. Though I suppose being cast aside speaks to her quality." His warriors laughed. Gomez's pack remained silent, watching. Selina turned slowly, studying the alpha with the same assessing gaze she'd once used to evaluate threats to her own pack. He was young, arrogant, his dominance posturing rather than earned. "Being discarded speaks to the quality of those who cast me aside," she said quietly. "Not to my own. But perhaps that distinction is too subtle for you to grasp." The visiting alpha's face darkened. "You dare. Careful." Gomez's voice resonated from the entrance, cold as winter stone. He moved into the hall with lethal grace, his warriors parting like water before him. "You're addressing my Luna. Show respect or leave my territory. Your Luna." The visiting alpha laughed, though nervousness crept into the sound. "Everyone knows she was sold like livestock." "What kind of Luna?" He didn't finish. Gomez moved with blinding speed, his hand around the male's throat, lifting him off his feet. "This kind of Luna," Gomez said softly, dangerously. "The kind under my protection. The kind whose honor I will defend with your blood if necessary." He released the alpha, letting him drop gasping to the floor. "You have 10 minutes to leave my lands. If I see you again, there won't be enough left to send home." The visiting pack fled. Gomez turned to Selina, his golden eyes searching her face. "Are you unharmed?" "I've survived worse than insults," she replied, though her heart hammered against her ribs. Not from fear of the visiting alpha, but from the raw possessiveness in Gomez's voice when he called her his Luna. Nevertheless, he moved closer, and she felt that now familiar pull, her wolf rising to meet his despite every rational thought. "You are mine to protect. Remember that." He left before she could respond, but his warriors remained, their expressions transformed from assessment to something approaching respect. The letter arrived a month after her capture, delivered through official channels that made its contents legal, binding, irreversible. Selina's hands trembled as she read the formal words, seeing Lyra's careful script that she'd once found so beautiful. Now each letter felt like a knife wound. By decree of the Council of Elders and with full pack approval, Luna Selina is hereby stripped of her title and authority. Her abandonment of her duties and unsanctioned alliance with hostile territory constitutes betrayal. Alpha Lyra assumes the Luna position, effective immediately. All bonds to the former Luna are dissolved. Abandonment. Unsanctioned alliance. Betrayal. The lies were so perfectly crafted, so expertly woven, that Selina could see how easily her pack would believe them. How Lyra had poisoned every memory, twisted every truth, rewritten history until Selina became the villain of her own story. The parchment slipped from her fingers. She didn't weep. Tears required a softness she could no longer afford. Instead, something cold and hard crystallized in her chest, replacing the gentleness that had defined her entire existence. She thought of every kindness she'd shown Lyra, every sacrifice she'd made, every time she'd chosen her sister's happiness over her own ambitions. She thought of Lyra's kiss on her forehead the night before the betrayal. "Trust me." "Never again," Selina whispered to the empty chamber. "Never again will I beg. Never again will I trust blindly. Never again will I mistake mercy for weakness." Her wolf stirred, responding to the iron in her voice. Not with submission or fear, but with recognition, with approval, with hunger. Selina stood and walked to the mirror, seeing herself clearly for the first time since her capture. Not the gentle Luna who ruled through compassion. Not the discarded sister who'd been sold like property. Someone new. Someone forged in betrayal and tempered by survival. Someone who understood that strength and compassion weren't opposites. They were weapons, and she'd been wielding only one while her enemies used both. The air in the chamber shifted. Power rippled across her skin, raising the fine hairs on her arms. Her wolf surged closer to the surface than ever before, no longer caged by doubt or gentleness or the expectations of those who'd loved her weakness. Gomez felt it from across the fortress, a pulse of Luna power so strong it made his wolf howl with recognition and desire. He abandoned his war council mid-sentence, racing toward her tower with primal urgency. He found her standing in moonlight streaming through the open window, her hair silver fire, her eyes glowing with an inner light that spoke of awakening power. She turned to face him, and Gomez saw the transformation written in every line of her body. The gentle Luna had shattered. What emerged from the ruins was magnificent. "I received word from my former pack," Selina said, her voice carrying an authority that resonated in his very bones. "They've named me traitor, stripped my title, dissolved all bonds." "Selina." "Good." She smiled, and it was sharp as broken glass. "They've given me exactly what I needed: freedom from obligation, freedom from mercy. Freedom to become what I should have been all along." She moved toward him with fluid grace, and Gomez felt his control wavering. His wolf demanded he claim her now, bind her with marks and vows before this awakening power decided he was unworthy. Do you know what I am? She asked softly. Yes, he admitted. I've known since the moment I saw you. Then you understand what's coming. She stopped before him, close enough that he could feel the heat radiating from her skin, could see the silver-blue fire burning in her eyes. My sister thought she was eliminating a rival. She thought she was protecting her stolen throne. And what did she actually do? Selina's smile widened, showing teeth. She freed a weapon she never knew existed. She sent me to the one alpha strong enough to help me remember what I truly am. She placed one hand over Gomez's chest, directly over his hammering heart. And when I'm ready, when I've grown into my full power, I will return to reclaim everything they stole from me. Gomez caught her wrist, his grip iron. And what role do I play in this vengeance? That depends. She tilted her head, studying him with new eyes that saw past his dominance to the hunger beneath. Are you strong enough to stand beside a Luna who will bow to no one? Wise enough to help forge a weapon that could destroy you? Brave enough to claim a mate who might eclipse even your power? His wolf roared approval. His mind calculated risks and rewards. His heart, that organ he'd thought long dead, thundered with something that felt dangerously close to recognition. I am, he said simply. The air between them crackled with possibility, with power, with destiny reshaping itself around two wolves who'd found each other in the darkness. She was no longer the Luna who was sold, she was the Luna who would return. When the Alpha King chose his mate, the council chamber erupted in voices, all speaking over one another in their urgency to be heard. She's a liability, my king. Her former pack has declared her traitor. Any alliance with her legitimizes their claims. 3 neighboring territories have sent suitable Lunas for consideration. Strong bloodlines, political advantages. The prophecy could be misinterpreted. We're risking everything on ancient texts that might be legend. Gomez sat in silence, his expression carved from stone as his most trusted advisors argued over his future. Over her future. As if Selina were a chess piece rather than a person, a problem to be solved rather than a Luna to be claimed. Commander Darius, his first in command, leaned forward with careful intensity. My king, I understand the pull you feel. But consider the practical implications. The female has power, yes, but she's also damaged. Betrayed. Her loyalty could still lie with her former pack, waiting for an opportunity to. Enough. Gomez's single word silenced the chamber. Selina stays. This discussion is over. At least meet with the other candidates, Elder Morven pressed. Lady Astrid from the Northern Peaks has requested an audience. Her pack controls the mountain passes and an alliance. Would mean nothing compared to what I already possess. Gomez stood, his dominance rolling through the chamber like thunder. I've made my choice. Anyone who questions it again can consider themselves dismissed from my service. The finality in his tone scattered the council like leaves before a storm. But Gomez knew this wasn't over. Political pressure was a tide, not a wave. It would return, stronger and more insistent, until he either gave them what they wanted or proved beyond doubt that his choice was unassailable. Selina pressed herself against the cold stone wall outside the council chamber, her heart hammering as fragments of conversation drifted through the heavy door. Liability. Damaged. Her loyalty could still lie with her former pack, *. She'd come seeking Gomez to discuss her training, her awakening power needed guidance, control. Instead, she discovered that even here, in the fortress where she'd begun to imagine a future, she was still viewed as a problem. A risk. A tool to be wielded or discarded based on political convenience. The pattern was sickeningly familiar. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. Selina slipped into the shadows, watching as a stunning female entered the fortress, flanked by an entourage bearing the mountain pack symbols. Lady Astrid, presumably. Tall and confident, moving with the assurance of someone who'd never been betrayed, never been sold, never questioned her own worth. Everything Selina used to be, before the world taught her that trust was a weakness. Is the Alpha King receiving visitors? Astrid asked a nearby guard, her voice carrying the melody of someone accustomed to getting what she wanted. He's in council, my lady. But I'm certain he'll make time for you. Selina didn't wait to hear more. She returned to her tower with mechanical precision, her mind already calculating. The practical clothing Kate had provided would serve for travel. She'd observed the patrol patterns, knew which gate had the lightest guard during shift changes. Her power had grown enough that she could mask her presence for short periods, long enough to slip past warriors who weren't actively searching for her. She wasn't a prisoner, Gomez had claimed. Time to test that truth. Better to leave with dignity than wait to be cast aside again. Better to forge her own path than watch another Luna take the place that should have been hers by destiny, if not by choice. As moonlight painted silver paths across her chamber floor, Selina gathered her few possessions. A knife Kate had given her for protection. The practical clothes. Nothing else belonged to her, not here, not anywhere. Going somewhere? She spun to find Gomez standing in her doorway, having entered with the silence of a predator who'd tracked her scent through the fortress. His golden eyes reflected the moonlight, ancient and knowing. "I'm relieving you of your political burden," Selina said, forcing her voice steady. "Lady Astrid seems suitable. Your council will approve. My council doesn't choose my mate. Neither should prophecy or destiny or whatever ancient magic supposedly binds us." She lifted her chin, even as her wolf howled in protest at the thought of leaving. "I won't be kept out of obligation. I won't be the liability your advisors need to manage. I won't." Be abandoned again? Gomez moved into the chamber, closing the door behind him. "Is that what you think this is? I think political pressure is a powerful force. I think you have an empire to protect and allies to appease. I think I'm the discarded Luna of a pack that named me traitor, and keeping me undermines everything you've built." "You're right." He stalked closer, and Selina's breath caught at the intensity in his gaze. "About the pressure. About the political complications. About the dozen valid reasons my council has for wanting me to choose someone less controversial." Pain lanced through her chest. Of course. She'd been foolish to imagine. "Which is why I told them all to go to hell." Selina blinked. "What? Did you think I claimed things lightly?" Gomez stopped before her, so close she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. "That I announced my choice to rival territories and post guards around your tower out of passing interest? That I defend your honor and study ancient prophecies because of political strategy? I don't understand." "Then let me be clear." He caught her face between his hands, the gesture possessive and tender in equal measure. "I want you as my Luna. Not because of prophecy, though that confirms what my wolf recognized the moment I saw you. Not because of the power you're awakening, though that makes you magnificent. Not because keeping you undermines your sister, though watching you reclaim everything she stole will be deeply satisfying." His thumbs traced her cheekbones, and Selina felt heat spread through her entire body. "I want you because you're the first being in my entire existence who makes me feel like something other than the Devil Alpha. Because you match my darkness with light that doesn't seek to change me but rather illuminates what I could become. Because when you look at me, I see reflected in your eyes a future I never dared imagine. Gomez. I want you because you're mine, Selina. And I'm yours. And every instinct I possess is screaming at me to claim you properly before you do something foolish like try to leave." Her wolf surged forward, desperate and hungry and done with pretending she didn't feel the pull between them. "Your counsel serves me, not the other way around." His eyes glowed brighter. "Choose, Selina. Not out of duty or destiny or lack of options. Choose because you want this. Choose me because when you imagine your future, I'm in it." The truth was simple and terrifying. She did want this. Wanted him. Had wanted him since the moment his dominance called to her power, and she'd discovered someone who didn't fear her strength, but demanded she embrace it. "And if I choose wrong," she whispered, "if this bond breaks me the way trust broke me before, then we'll be broken together. But I don't break easily, Luna. And neither do you." He leaned closer, his lips a breath away from hers, waiting. Giving her the choice even now, even when his wolf must be demanding he simply take what was his. Selina's hands moved of their own accord, sliding up his chest to lock behind his neck. "I choose you," she breathed. "I choose us. I choose Gomez's mouth claimed hers with fierce intensity, swallowing her words, making promises with lips and tongue and teeth that transcended language. Selina kissed him back with equal hunger, months of denial and suppressed desire flooding through her like wildfire. The bond snapped into place with the force of lightning striking earth. Power exploded between them, his darkness and her light, his dominance and her strength, his empire and her birthright. The mate bond blazed through every nerve, every cell, rewriting their very souls to accommodate the presence of another. Selina gasped against his mouth as images flooded her mind. Gomez's memories, his thoughts, his feelings laid bare. She saw herself through his eyes, not weak or damaged, but magnificent, powerful, worthy. His Luna, his mate, his equal. And in return, he saw her, every betrayal, every wound, every moment of strength hidden behind gentleness. He felt her awakening power, vast and ancient, waiting for the right catalyst to fully emerge. The room itself seemed to shake with the force of their bonding, moonlight intensifying until the chamber blazed with silver-gold fire. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Selina's eyes glowed with power that made Gomez's wolf howl in triumph. Her hair moved in an invisible wind, her skin luminous with the magic of a fully awakened Luna. What just happened?" she gasped. Gomez's smile was pure predator satisfaction. "We completed the mate bond. And in doing so, unlocked exactly what the prophecy predicted." He turned her to face the mirror across the chamber. Selina stared at her reflection, hardly recognizing the being she'd become. Power radiated from her like heat from flame. Her eyes blazed silver-blue fire. Ancient markings shimmered across her skin, visible only in the magical light, the mark of an eternal Luna. "This is what you truly are," Gomez murmured against her ear, his arms wrapping around her waist. "What you've always been. What your pack was too blind to see." Selina watched their reflection, the Devil Alpha and the eternal Luna. Darkness and light merged into something neither could achieve alone. The bond snapped into place and the world shifted. The return of the true Luna. The coronation ceremony was magnificent. Lyra stood at the ceremonial cliff where Selina had once accepted her own Luna title, wearing the circlet that had graced her sister's brow, speaking vows that should never have been hers to take. The pack gathered below in celebration, their howls echoing through the valley in approval of their new leader. 6 months had passed since Selina's disappearance. 6 months of carefully constructed lies about abandonment and betrayal. 6 months of Lyra playing the role of reluctant hero, stepping forward to save her people from the chaos of a missing Luna. The pack had believed every word. "I accept this burden with humility," Lyra declared, her voice carrying across the assembled wolves. "I vow to lead with strength where my predecessor showed only weakness. I vow to protect where she..." Thunder rolled across a cloudless sky. The temperature dropped so suddenly that breath turned to mist. Every wolf present felt it simultaneously, a presence approaching, ancient and terrible and undeniable. Power that made the earth itself tremble in recognition. Lyra's words died in her throat. The crowd parted like water as 2 figures emerged from the forest path. First came the Devil Alpha himself, Gomez in his full glory, black leather and battle scars, dominance radiating from him in waves that made even the strongest warriors drop their eyes in submission. But it was the female beside him who stole every breath. Selina walked with the grace of a predator who'd forgotten how to be prey. Gone was the gentle Luna who'd ruled through compassion. In her place stood a being of terrible beauty, silver hair flowing like moonlight given form, eyes blazing with power that made the very air shimmer. Ancient markings traced her exposed skin, glowing with Luna magic that hadn't been seen in 1,000 years. She wore battle leathers of midnight blue, armed with twin blades that sang with enchantment. The Luna's true circlet, not the replica Lyra wore, but the original forged by the moon goddess herself, rested on her brow, reclaimed from the pack's sacred vault by right of destiny. And around her neck, visible to every wolf present, gleamed the mark of a completed mate bond. The Devil Alpha's claim, seared into her skin in silver and gold, proclaiming to the world exactly who she belonged to. Who belonged to her? "Hello, sister," Selina said softly, her voice carrying effortlessly across the silent crowd. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." Lyra's face drained of color. You're supposed to be dead? Imprisoned? Forgotten?" Selina ascended the ceremonial platform with measured steps, each one resonating with Luna power that made the false circlet on Lyra's head tremble. "Is that what you told yourself when you sold me to Gomez? That I'd simply cease to exist, clearing your path to the throne you were never destined to hold?" The pack erupted in confused murmurs. Elder Thorn pushed through the crowd, his ancient face etched with shock. "Luna Selina? But the reports said you abandoned us, formed an illegal alliance." "Reports my dear sister fabricated." Selina's gaze never left Lyra's face. "Tell them, Lyra. Tell them about the emissaries from Gomez's territory. About the negotiations you conducted in secret. About the documents you forged bearing my seal and signature." "She's lying," Lyra said desperately, but her voice shook. "She's been compromised by the Devil Alpha. He's twisted her mind." "Have I?" Gomez spoke for the first time, his voice a low rumble that silenced every protest. "Shall we discuss what actually happened? How your sister arranged Selina's capture, signed transfer documents trading her life for political recognition, told my emissaries to keep her alive but forgotten." He moved to stand beside Selina, a united front of power that made the very sky darken above them. "How she convinced you all that Selina abandoned her duties when in truth she was betrayed by the one wolf she trusted most." Gomez continued. "How she's worn a stolen crown for 6 months while the true Luna was discovering exactly what she's capable of becoming." Selina raised one hand, and Luna power exploded from her palm in visible waves. It washed over the assembled pack like a cleansing tide, and in its wake came truth. The mate bonds that connected every wolf to their pack resonated with her magic, forcing recognition of what they'd lost, what had been stolen, what now stood before them reclaiming her birthright. Warriors dropped to their knees. Omegas gasped in recognition. Even the elders bowed their heads before power that couldn't be denied or explained away. "No," Lyra whispered, stumbling backward. "No, this isn't possible. You were weak, you were soft, you." "I was suppressed," Selina corrected, her voice cold as winter stone. "Taught to minimize myself, to hide my strength behind gentleness, because a true Luna's power frightened those who couldn't understand it. But you did me a favor, sister. You sent me to the one place, the one Alpha, who could help me remember what I truly am." She ascended the final steps until she stood directly before Lyra, the true circlet on her brow blazing with light that made the replica in Lyra's hands look like a child's toy. "An eternal Luna," Selina said softly. "Born once every 1,000 years. Powerful enough to unite territories or destroy them. And you, dear sister, taught me something more valuable than any prophecy could, that mercy without strength is meaningless. That trust must be earned, not freely given. That sometimes the cruelest thing you can do to someone is to make them believe they're loved." Tears streaked down Lyra's face. "Selina, please, I'm sorry, I didn't mean." "You meant every word, every action, every betrayal." Selina's expression remained impassive. "You wanted this crown so desperately that you destroyed the one person who loved you without condition. So now you'll see what it costs." She turned to address the pack, her voice resonating with authority that made her former gentleness seem like a distant dream. "I hereby reclaim my title as Luna of this pack, by right of birth, by right of destiny, and by right of power that none here can challenge. All decisions made during the false Luna's reign are void. All alliances formed under her authority are dissolved. And all those who knowingly participated in the deception will face judgment." Elder Thorn stepped forward, his voice heavy with shame. "Luna Selina, we didn't know. We believed." "You believed lies because they were convenient," Selina interrupted. "Because questioning your new Luna was harder than accepting her story. But I don't return seeking vengeance against my pack." "You were deceived. You will live with that knowledge, and you will remember this moment the next time someone offers you comfortable lies over difficult truths. She turned back to Lyra, who now knelt on the platform, the false circlet fallen from her nerveless fingers. But you, sister, will face a different judgment. Are you going to kill me? Lyra whispered. Selina smiled, and it held no warmth. Death would be mercy. No, I'm going to do something far crueler. I'm going to let you live. You'll watch me rule with the strength you claimed I lacked. You'll see the pack prosper under my guidance and Gomez's alliance. You'll witness everything you wanted slip further from your grasp with each passing day. And you'll do it as an Omega, stripped of rank and authority, serving the very pack you tried to steal. She gestured, and warriors moved forward to escort Lyra away. Her sister's anguished sobs echoed across the ceremonial grounds, but Selina felt nothing. The soft heart that would have wept for Lyra's pain had been carved away by betrayal, replaced by something harder and infinitely stronger. Gomez moved to her side, his hand finding hers, their mate bond humming with shared satisfaction. Together they faced the pack, his dominance and her Luna power merged into something unprecedented. This territory is now under the protection of the Devil Alpha and the Eternal Luna, Gomez declared. Any who oppose this union will find themselves facing forces they cannot comprehend, let alone defeat. Any who accept it will prosper under leadership that values strength and wisdom in equal measure. Selina raised her free hand, and the true circlet blazed with light that painted the entire valley in silver-gold fire. I am Selina, Eternal Luna, mate to Alpha King Gomez, ruler of the territory that once cast me aside and now kneels before me. I was betrayed by blood. I was sold like property. I was meant to be forgotten. She paused, letting her power wash over every wolf present, burning her image into their memories with magic that ensured they would never forget this moment. But I remembered who I was. I discovered what I could become. And I returned not for revenge, but for what was always mine. Thunder rolled again, and this time it sounded like the world itself acknowledging a truth that could never be undone. Two rulers stood united on the ceremonial cliff. Darkness and light, empire and destiny, the Devil Alpha and the Eternal Luna who refused to break. Below them, an entire pack bowed in submission. Beyond them, neighboring territories would soon learn that the gentle Luna who once ruled through compassion had been reforged into something far more dangerous. A queen who ruled through power. A queen who would never trust blindly again. A queen who understood that sometimes the cruelest betrayal gives you the strength you never knew you needed. She was betrayed as a Luna, but returned as a queen.